This is an L-shaped bracket. Most of you are probably thinking, I think it's safe to say that we don't spend a whole lot of time thinking about L-shaped brackets. But if you Googled it, you'd find that there are actually over 2,000 different types of these things, of different dimensions, shapes, sizes, colors, for totally different purposes. And if you looked around hard enough, you might even start noticing this piece of equipment in a lot of the things that you rely on every day. Your air conditioner, propping it up and keeping it running. Your bookshelf, holding it upright, stopping the books from falling all over you. And although this seemingly obscure piece of equipment is something that you and I probably take for granted, for someone like Rodolfo Esberos, the aircon handyman from the Philippines, it's a thing of great importance. It's something that he relies on to make a living, to do his job, make money, and feed his family. Here's the thing, the L-shaped bracket is no different in form or in substance to us or to someone like Rodolfo. The only difference lies in our perceptions and the value that we each place on it. And just like L-shaped brackets, we rely on people like Rodolfo for a lot of things that are very real to us each and every day. The electrician that you call when your power trips, leaving you without air conditioning, sweating in the tropical heat. The locksmith when you lock yourself out of your own home at 3 in the morning. The plumber when your toilet just refuses to flush after you, I think you get the picture. Before I embarked on my entrepreneurial journey, I was a lawyer for about 6 years, the court-going type. I often appeared before judges, arguing cases for my clients, where every word, argument, and submission was carefully selected for the greatest persuasive effect. There was a craft in what I did that gave me a real sense of pride and fulfillment. That I was able to create something that not only benefited those around me, but that could perhaps even be admired, even if it wasn't always fully understood. But deep down, perhaps the simple premise behind it all was that by practicing my craft and having it acknowledged and valued made me feel useful. It gave purpose and meaning to the life and the work that I was doing as a lawyer. This interpretation isn't new. In fact, the idea that we derive purpose and meaning from the value and usefulness of what work we do dates back to antiquity. In ancient Egypt, the carpenters, stonemasons, and sculptors were the artisans and craftsmen of their day, laboring with their hands, fixing and building things for their communities. That was their measure of value and usefulness. But today, we're far more likely to view plumbers, electricians, and aircon repairmen, like Rodolfo, a lot more like mere commodities rather than artisans, as tools even, rather than craftsmen. Somehow, over time, we've started seeing craftsmanship as being almost within the exclusive domain of lawyers, doctors, and engineers, the so-called professionals. Maybe as a society, we started seeing intellectual professionals as being the hallmark of human achievement, while laboring with one's hands is seen as uneducated and a little less important, even if the labor from those hands builds the homes that we live in, giving us shelter and protection. But if we're honest with ourselves, isn't the work of plumbers, electricians, and aircon repairmen in essence the same as these professionals? They're both exercising care and skill, honing their craft from years of doing their work. And most importantly, they're both adding value to things that are of great importance to each of us. Maybe it isn't so much that what they do fails to qualify as a craft, but that we fail to recognize it because of how society dictates where and what we should place value on. Now, why does this matter at all? Why should we care about what plumbers and electricians and aircon repairmen like Rodolfo even think? Well, these craftsmen make up about half of all the small businesses that power about 20 to 30% of the entire Southeast Asian economy. Nothing trivial there. I think they play a far bigger role in our lives than we probably give them credit for. And I would argue that by failing to recognize their craft and holding certain preconceptions about them, we effectively diminish the value and importance of the work that they do, and by extension, perhaps even the value and importance that they see in themselves. Here's an example that I think most of you would be able to relate to. When something seems to be going wrong, we default pretty quickly to, you just can't get any good contractor these days. Or the common assumption that, I got conned. You know how it is. These contractors are always out there to charge an arm and a leg, to cut corners. But let's face it, we often say these things without really having a clue of what's going on. We assume we are right based on our perception of things. But maybe we're wrong. Maybe we don't know any better. The same way we don't know any better about the value and importance of the L-shaped bracket and how much we actually rely on it for a great many things every day. Maybe the true reason we feel that we can't get good help these days isn't because it isn't available, but because we fail to recognize it, even when it's in front of us. And maybe by doing that, we even perpetuate a perception and culture of distrust that disincentivizes these craftsmen from wanting to do better and improving on their trade. Maybe we play a bigger role contributing to the results that we most want to avoid, the very things that give rise to our complaints of bad service quality today. It's worth asking ourselves, what if by changing our perspectives about them, we're able to not just improve the lives of millions of these craftsmen, but raise the standards of the industry as a whole, and along the way, make things a little bit better for everyone. At Kaodim, we've made it our mission to empower people like Rodolfo Esberos through technology, to create a platform that would bring the best of their craft out of them and to elevate the quality of their work. To do this, we asked ourselves, what challenges do our craftsmen face each and every day? What stops a cleaner from showing up on time? What prevents a plumber, electrician, or handyman from doing great work and growing their trade? We learned a great number of things, many of which really surprised us. For example, that cleaners typically need to do a minimum of 2 jobs in a day just to make a decent profit. With every job averaging about 4 to 6 hours each, that's pretty hard to fit in a day, especially in today's traffic. So we devised algorithms that would route jobs that were closest to them based on their availability, cutting down on their travel time, allowing them to arrive at their customers' homes on time, and maximizing the number of jobs they can do in a day. That contractors typically have to front 20 to 30% of their entire monthly earnings just to buy supplies and materials that they need for their work, often without any form of security from their customers. To help them with this, we devised financing schemes that would allow our craftsmen to go around town and pick up supplies and materials on credit at much better prices. By stepping into the shoes of our craftsmen, by living a day in their lives, by understanding and solving their pain points, we were able to fundamentally improve the quality of the work that they did so that they can contribute a little bit more and better to their communities. And hopefully, along the way, change common perceptions about them. I would add, maybe we can all contribute in some way, starting with our perceptions. By acknowledging that maybe we don't know everything there is to know about them. That maybe their work deserves to be understood just a little bit better, more as a craft rather than something mechanical and replaceable. That maybe just like the L-shaped bracket, they are a lot more important and valuable than we realize or give them credit for. That, to me, would be a great start. Thank you very much.